Okay, we are going to get started. Move on. Skipped webinar code. Good afternoon. The webinar is about to begin. For this presentation, please follow the webinar code of conduct. We ask you to please keep your microphones muted during the presentation. Just so you are aware, we'll be muting participants that have noticeable noise coming from their line. For those of you who have called in by phone, you can mute and unmute by pressing *6. The chat box can be shown or hidden by clicking on the comment balloon icon. It is next to the hand icon on computers and some tablets. On a computer or tablet, you can click or tap on the hand icon to raise or lower your hand virtually. You can click on the three dots in the icon menu bar for more options. Live closed captioning in English only is available through the fully downloaded computer version of Microsoft Teams through this three-dot menu. If you click on the red phone icon, you will be disconnected from the webinar. Please sign in again to return to the webinar. This presentation will be recorded, and by participating in it, you will be consenting to you being recorded. During the presentation, remember to use the chat box to ask questions and provide comments. At the end of the presentation, we will take questions and comments from participants on the phone as well. We will now begin the webinar. This webinar will be about an hour in length. Thanks for attending. Jordy will now introduce himself and welcome you to the webinar.
Hi, welcome to Your Voice Matters. Voting is advocacy. I'm Jordy. I work for OCHN as a customer service specialist. And before my job at OCHN, I worked as a certified peer sports specialist at CNS Healthcare Pontiac office for 8.5 years. I'm here to let you know that your voice matters, and it's a great way to advocate for yourself. First off, who is OCHN? Oakland Community Health Network provides services for adults and children with intellectual developmental disabilities, mental health concerns, and substance use disorders. Its mission is to inspire hope, empower people, and strengthen communities. Also, who is this webinar for? This presentation is for everybody and anyone who has or doesn't have a disability and is interested in voting and in advocating for themselves and others. The who is you, no matter who you are. On the next slide, we will talk about some of the whys of voting. Why? Voting is an important part of advocacy. It's not just letters and calling your legislators. Everyone's vote counts. Your votes add up. Now we will hear from Pam. Okay. What is advocacy? What does advocacy mean? Advocacy is the act or process of supporting a cause or proposal for something or someone. It's a form of problem solving, finding the best way to improve a situation. It protects the rights of people to receive fair, equal, and humane treatment. It improves services, eligibility for services, and enhances service quality. And it ensures adequate funding is made available for valuable services that improves the lives of individuals with disabilities. Who is an advocate? An advocate is a person who supports and champions for a cause or a policy. It's a person who works for a cause or a group. It's a person who argues for the cause of another person in a court of law. Remember, we are all advocates. And what do advocates achieve? Advocates also influence public policy as well as laws and budgets. Advocates use facts to build relationships with and educate government officials and community members on important public issues. And they initiate positive change for themselves, their family, and their community. There's important information to understand about elections, and this includes the following: knowing the difference between national and state elections, the governor's race, knowing the candidates running for Michigan governor, knowing who is running for the Senate and who is running for the House of Representatives, and understanding pending proposals of interest, redistricting laws, and how Michigan's legislature works. This slide includes a link to the Michigan U.S. congressional districts as of February 2022, zipdatamaps.com. That is spelled ZIPDATAMAPS.com. For those of you joining us through your computer, the link will be added to the chat. The thumbs up icon, which you see after your vote, is like the like in Facebook, but much more important than liking a post, a meme, or an article. Your vote is your voice. Not only a thumbs up, but it makes a big difference to your neighbors, your community, and in society. Now we will hear from Amit.
Hi, my name is Ahmed. I'm a trainer here at OCHN. I have a disability. I vote to ensure that my voice is heard on issues that are important to me. And I hope you do the same this November. Take care.
Thank you, Amit. Now Betty will introduce herself and speak more about advocacy.
Good afternoon. My name is Betty Ruiz. I'm an advocate, author of 3 books, and a member of Easter Seals. Today, I will be providing you with tips on advocating. First of all, know the facts. To gain and maintain credibility, it is critical that you have all the facts on both sides of any issue. Having this information at your fingertips will help you in conversations with government officials, the media, other advocates, and the general public. Use the facts. Any position you take should be grounded in the facts. It is often helpful to put your facts into a one-page sheet you can distribute. Next slide, please. More advocacy tips are: have a clear and concise message. Government officials, the press, and the general public do not have time for long conversations or documents. Try not to use acronyms so that everyone understands the issues you are discussing. Nurture relationships. Advocacy is a joint venture. Find your allies and work with them to achieve your advocacy goals. Your chances of success are much greater when there are large numbers of organizations and people on your side. Now we are going to hear from Amy.
Okay, hi everybody. It is your constitutional right, whether you're disabled or not. Just vote. It's your right. You have every right in the world to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Now we will cover some important things you need to know to vote. Why vote? It's your right. Regardless of who you are, you make a difference. It's important to advocate for yourself. You can influence change and make a positive difference. Your voice matters, your vote counts. You have a role as an advocate for yourself, so make your voice heard. We will now look at your rights as a voter. The United States and State of Michigan Constitution guarantees every U.S. citizen aged 18 or older the right to vote. Whether you vote at the polls or by absentee ballot, voting is a right. If you want the candidate of your choice to win the election, it is important that you vote and make your voice heard. Many people with disabilities do not vote. They want to vote, but many are afraid because of challenges they may face, such as resources and because special accommodations are needed. Because of state and federal laws, polling places have to be ADA compliant to accommodate people who are disabled. The polling place may have extra wide doorways, ramps for steps, and extra lighting. The voting station may also be expandable or provide a place for people to vote while sitting down. Also, there are special machines at the polling place designed to be used by persons with disabilities. This can include an automark machine like the Heart Touch Writer or the Dominion voting machine. Next slide, please. These machines provide privacy, have a large screen, headphones, and a ballot marker. We will talk more about these machines later in the webinar. Don't hesitate to let the election worker know if you need to use one of these machines. Election workers are there to help you. If you are blind, if you have a disability, or if you are unable to read or write, you can have a person of your choice to assist you at the polls. This person can be anyone except your employer, an employer agent, or officer or agent of a union that you belong to. Also, because of COVID-19, hand sanitizer will be available to help keep you safe. If you do require assistance at the polls, you may request help in advance by notifying the clerk's office. You can locate your clerk's office on one of the voting websites we will discuss later in this training. Residents who are deaf or hard of hearing can direct questions they may have to the Department of State's Bureau of Elections. The email address for that department is elections, ELECTIONS at Michigan, MICHAN.gov, G-O-V. Please don't hesitate to vote. Your voice, your vote matters. These are some advocates talking about being advocates for people beyond themselves.
Self-advocacy means to speak up.
Speaking up for your rights, no matter what the issue or the concern is.
To speak for oneself and speak for others.
If I have my own voice, I speak up for myself.
Standing up for your rights and not relying on staff or your support staff to make decisions for you.
The ability to be independent, live your life to its fullest extent.
We took issues like the will work, will pay.
Being persistent in what you want.
When you got control of your life, of your everyday affairs.
Means given the ability to have choices in my life.
It's not just about information sharing, it's about being in the community.
I worked really hard in the community because of my unique disability to get the word out that people like us should be in the community.
Speaking up for yourself, but also taking responsibility for your things.
Being able to know what you want and then being able to go for it and having somebody else that believes in it, that's able to help you.
I'm gonna fight for those that are like me, or it don't matter, it's just, I just don't like people taking advantage of.
They wanna get the word out that they want something out of life.
As much as everybody tries to help people with various kinds of disabilities, We're the ones who really know what we need.
For years, the voices of people with intellectual disability were never heard. Decisions were made for them.
If it doesn't come from us, it comes from people who don't have an intellectual disability and they don't actually have the experience to talk about it.
The professional need to listen to us more because they don't know as well as we do what we want and need.
Other people will decide what you will do. If you are not at the table, you don't know what those people are going to decide.
A part of being an advocate is to get out there and start networking.
And if you don't know how to do that, you should go and ask a self-advocate person that knows how to do it, and they'll help you.
There's tons of barriers out there, but attitudinal barriers are the biggest, I think.
The biggest thing is being included in the community with society and inclusion within college, school.
We came out here to learn from y'all anyway, and that's what we want people to understand. Well, we need help and all that from y'all. That's what we want.
I like to be out, helping people, and to teach people.
I learned to speak up and not be ashamed of who I am.
Just like the civil rights movement before us, we try to do things to help people speak out for what they want and do what they believe in.
We just wanted to let everybody know just because you have a disability doesn't mean you're less than, or you don't know, or you're not committed to something.
We need a voice. We need to get people to listen.
It's really important that we speak up and tell people what is wrong in this world, and so that we can make it better and we can make a change.
No matter who you are, you have a right to vote and advocate for yourself. Now we will hear from Deborah to tell you about the importance of local elections.
Hi, my name is Deborah, and I am a client of Easter Seals, Michigan. I do volunteer work for Advocacy Council, Advocacy Council, I'm sorry. And I am here to speak about the importance of local elections. Local elections have known to have a lower voter turnout. This is alarming as legislation and local officials are determined through these elections. Local elections are important as being involved in local politics. Being involved in local politics can help individuals become more politically active in their area. This can be through voting, as well as getting to know your local officials to discuss topics you are passionate about. Some types of local legislation that are driven through voting include funding such as the public school system, infrastructure, and if the mental health system is public or private, private privatization of the mental health system has been proposed by Michigan State Majority Leader Mike Shirkey. Senate Bills 597 and 598 will privatize all Medicaid mental health services, leading to profit-focused insurance companies having full financial control. A new poll has found that two-thirds of Michiganders oppose this bill as it would decrease mental health services for those who need it most. Michigan's public mental health system has a long history of high performance tailored to individuals and families being served through the mental health system. Voting also determines local officials such as judges, district attorneys, and members of the Board of Education. As you can see, local elections impact everyday lives. So it is crucial to vote and voice what you feel most strongly about. These are some helpful voting resources for you. State of Michigan website. www.michigan.gov/vote. You can find your local clerk and polling location, as well as watch videos about voting equipment, how to register, and much more. Oakland County Clerk, www.oakclerk.com/CLERKROD. You can register to vote and find your polling location. It is located at 1200 North Telegraph Road, Building 12, East Pontiac, Michigan, 48341, and his phone number is 1-888-350-0900. That is 1-888-350-0900. League of Women's Voters of Michigan, www.lwvmi.org. You can educate yourself about important voting issues and learn more about voting. These resources can help answer individualized questions like: am I actually registered to vote at my current address? Who is my city township clerk? What is their phone number and where is their office? Where is my polling location? What do I need to register to vote? What do I need to register to vote? How can I request an absentee voter's ballot application? The links of these resources are on the OCHN website under voting resources. Requirements for being able to register to vote in Michigan are: you need to be a Michigan resident at the time you register, be a resident of the city or township for at least 30 days by the time you vote, be a U.S. citizen and at least 18 years of age by the time you vote. Additionally, you must not be currently serving a sentence in jail or prison. However, a person waiting arraignment and not yet convinced of a crime can vote by absentee ballot. Felons in Michigan can also vote once they have served their sentence. Only Kentucky and Iowa do not restore the voting rights of felons. If you meet all the requirements to register to vote, you can then register in a variety of ways. You are automatically registered to vote when you renew your driver's license or state ID at the Secretary of State office. You can also register online using the website resources listed on the previous slide on the OCHN website. You can register at the Oakland County Clerk's office in Pontiac, and you can always register to vote at your local city or township clerk's office. You can find out the contact information on your local city or township clerk using the website resources listed on the previous slide or on the OCHN website. A question you may have been what you do if you are moving at the time of election. You can vote at your previous polling place one last time or by planning ahead. You can put in an application to vote using an absentee ballot. I will be reviewing absentee voting on the next slide. Absentee voting. All eligible and registered voters in Michigan may request an absentee voter ballot. There is an application or request for the absentee ballot, which is different from the absentee ballot itself. Request to have an absentee ballot, voter ballot mailed to you must be received by your clerk no later than 5 p.m. the Friday before the election. The Friday before August the 2nd is July the 29th, and the Friday before November the 8th is November the 4th. You can register and apply for an absentee voter ballot at the same time. After receiving your absentee voter ballot, you have until 8 p.m. on election day to complete the ballot and return it to the clerk's office. Now we will go over the voting process. The voting process. First, you mark your ballot, or you can get an assistant with this either from a person or by assistive technology. Second, you place your completed ballot in a secrecy envelope. Absentee voters use an absentee voter envelope. Third, you return the ballot to the designated person by inserting it into the counting machine. Absentee voters return their ballot to the clerk's office in person or by mail. If you mail it, make sure to include an extra postage required for the ballot. And finally, congratulate yourself. Be proud. You have just voted and made your voice heard. As mentioned before, voting assistance is available. There are people at the polls to help you vote if you request it. Also, there are ballot marking systems that enable you to vote independently. Now we will hear from Amit on using assistive technology to vote.
My name is Amin. I'm a trainer with OCHN, and I use a piece of assistive technology that's available at your local polling place that reads the ballot to me and marks my choices. So that's how I vote with a disability. I hope you exercise your right to vote this November. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you, Ahmed. Now Mark will introduce himself and tell you more about voter assist terminals.
My name is Amin. I'm a trainer with OCHN, and
Thank you, Deborah. Hi, I'm Mark Jones. I work at the OCHN Customer Service Department. I am someone who has been working in the mental health field while living with a serious mental illness for the last 35 years. I have been voting in elections even longer than that. What are voter assist terminals? They are pieces of adaptive technology that are used for the privacy and accessibility of voters who have certain disabilities. Oakland County polling places use the Heart Touch Writer. Please tell an election worker if you need to use a voter assist terminal. You should not have to call ahead to make sure your polling place has them. Every polling place should have one. If you vote in a county other than Oakland County, you may use a different type of voter assist terminal, like Dominion or ES&S. You can find information on the various voter assist terminals on the Michigan Voters Information Center, mvic.sos.mi.us. That's mvic.sos.state.mi.us. Now I'm going to go over voting dates in 2022. There are 2 elections coming up this year in Michigan. On Tuesday, August 2nd, we have the state primary election where people get to choose which candidates are put on the ballot for the general election in November. Most of the contestants in the state primary are for the legislatures in the state of Michigan and for the House of Representatives seats, as well as for those local elections. The general election on Tuesday, November 8th, is when citizens throughout the country vote for who they want in office at all levels, federal, state, and local. Now I will go over some important voting registration deadlines. These voting registration deadlines are important for you, especially if you are not registered to vote at the address where you currently reside. You can find that out if you are at the Michigan Voter Information Center or mvic.sos.state.mi.us from the Your Voter Information search. This is only if you plan to register to vote in a way other than in person with your local city or township clerk. If you want to register by mail, by online, at the Secretary of State office, or with the Oakland County clerk, you need to register within 14 days prior to the election. But that is by July 18th for the August 2nd election and by October 24th for the general election on November 8th. However, with proof of residency like your state ID or driver's license, you can always register in person at your local city or township clerk up to 8 p.m. the actual day of the election. The next video is from the 2020 election, but still applies to some upcoming elections. The information on it summarizes some important points of our presentation today. Music's not playing. One note is that if you change your address at the Secretary of State within 14 days of an election, you will still need to register to vote with your city or township clerk. We will have another voting and advocacy webinar prior to the primary election on August 2nd. This webinar will be on July 14th, 2022 at 2 p.m. You can access the voting webinar from the newly designed OCHN website. On the next slide, I will direct you to the new OCHN website with the updated voting resources. There will also be PDF flyers distributed with the links to join the computer like you see them on this slide. They will also have the Microsoft Teams conference ID on them. For phone access, you call 462-6341. That's 248-462-6341. And you enter the Teams conference ID of 911-754-03 #. That's 911-754-03 #. This is the newly designed OCHN website. On a computer, tablet, or smartphone, you use a browser like Chrome, Safari, or Edge and type into the browser www.oaklandchn.org. That's www.oaklandchn.org and hit enter. The Oakland virtual voting webinars are on the Oakland CHN calendar under How Do I tab. Look for the calendar link under the Find heading on the left-hand side in the drop-down menu. Also, the OCHN web homepage, if you scroll down far enough, there will be an Events and Highlights section. Under the Events tab, there will be a calendar where you can register to attend events like the webinar. To find the voting resources, mouse over the Resources tab near the top right of the page, then look for voting resources at the bottom right corner and click on it. On a smartphone or tablet, you look for the 3-line icon at the upper right part of your menu. This is sometimes called a hamburger menu because it looks a little like a hamburger with a top bun, the burger, and a bottom bun. Tap on it to get your menu options to drop down. Tap on resources, scroll down to voting resources, tap on voting resources to get the page with the links to the voting resources mentioned in this presentation. This is what the page looks like for voting resources, where you can find links mentioned in this webinar, as well as much more information. This now concludes the presentation portion of our voting and advocacy webinar. We will now be taking questions and comments from participants. For those of you who have joined us by computer or tablet, you can raise your hand to be called on, or you can add your questions or comments in the chat box. For those who have joined us by telephone, unmute yourself by pressing *6, and we will call on you by phone number. Please remember to mute yourself again by pressing *6 when you are done. For everyone, please announce your name when you provided your question or comment. What are some of the questions or comments from the chat box? Is there any? I don't see any. Are there any questions or comments from the audience, either on phone or on computer? No, I don't see any. If you call the customer service 1-800-341-2003, that's 1-800-341-2003, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Fridays, we are glad to help and provide questions about voting and advocacy. Please ask for Mark or Jordy or leave us a message and we will get back to you. Thanks for attending Voting and Advocacy, Your Vote Matters webinar, brought to you by the Oakland County, Oakland Community Health Network. It is your right to vote. Your vote matters.